Hey, there we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a test edition of the Carolina Weather Group. We're testing out some new technology because James is back and he's got the itch to make everything better. So we are live casting on, I don't know if that's a word, Facebook living our severe weather coverage tonight and kind of just talking to you guys using some new technology, software to try to make our show better. And yeah, they told me to feel. So that's what we're
just
doing.
Stretch, Scotty, just stretch. So if you're on YouTube, hello. We got lots of folks on YouTube, and we'll have some folks testing from Facebook Live. We're going to talk about the storms that are out there as soon as I get Facebook Live working, and I have to stop tap dancing. But until then, I'm going to go ahead and share maybe some radar, Scotty. Would that be helpful to you?
Yeah, I was going to say I'll continue tap dancing. I just didn't know the technology stuff I was talking about. But we can talk about the weather. How about that?
That sounds great. We know a lot about the weather.
We do. Well, we think we do.
We think we do. There we
go. All right. So as if you live in the upstate right now, my gosh, we got a hailstorm and a half down there in the Greenville, South Carolina, Spartanburg, Greer, South Carolina area. I'll pull up my Twitter page, and I'm sure Shay and David and James have been following it as well. A lot of reports of hail out of the upstate of South Carolina, and now getting some reports of hail out of the Charlotte metro area, and James may be able to confirm that here in just a little bit. But strong to severe thunderstorms right now, Cabarrus County, over into the Albemarle area. Let me pull up chat, and I can tell you where that severe thunderstorm warning is. Cabarrus, Rowan County, until 9:30 tonight. Damage and wind 60 mile per hour or greater. Hail 1 inch in diameter, and maybe even a little bit larger than that, as some of the photos have been coming in. So very distinguished line of storms moved through the upstate earlier today, and that continues now through the Charlotte metro area. And then we're looking back to our west as more storms move into South Carolina and into the Atlanta metro area. And then I'm going to bring in David Reese because he's been watching the storms there in the Atlanta metro area. He's got some family that lives there. So David, looking at radar, it looks to be a pretty stormy evening there in the northern Georgia area.
Yeah, they had quite the hailstorm up across northern Georgia, up towards the Dalton area. I saw numerous reports of large hail there, and I believe Shay has the radar up now showing the strong storms racing through downtown Atlanta. It's heading towards the uptown area, went through Dunwoody. That's in my brother's neck of the woods. Tucker heading towards Stone Mountain and eventually Interstate 20, which is that blue line cutting off to the east from Atlanta. Strong wind. You can see the wind rushing out ahead of it on the outflow boundary, which is that thin line of very light green you see just to the south of the big reds and yellows and oranges there. And that will continue to race off to the south and east. It's like, I'm seeing reports of power outages all across northern Atlanta right now. My brother said it was getting incredibly windy just a bit ago, and that's the last I heard from him about 10, 15 minutes ago before the storms hit. So hope he's okay. I think he is. I mean, where he's located, he'll be all right, even if a tree falls. He's far enough away from the big trees that I'm not concerned about that. Cars, different story, but he'll be all right.
But check out this hailstorm in Greer, South Carolina.
Yeah,
a couple of hours ago.
That's the other big news with this was the hail that they had in northern Georgia and South Carolina, and now, like Scotty said, in the Charlotte area. And I don't know if James is still with us, but James, have you seen or heard any big hail reports in the Charlotte region?
I have not, at least not with my own eyes, because as I bring the radar back around to Charlotte, I am on the south side, so I'm like down here where we're not getting a whole lot. Yeah. About an hour or so ago, I was able to see the lightning off to my north. That's a really poor arrow I just drew, but I cannot independently verify anything right now at this point.
You notice this hail picture, if you look at the table, you see these little black dots. I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing here.
We're still looking at your hail picture, is what we say.
Yeah. I'm showing the hail picture. These little black dots on the table on the edges here are holes in the table and down here on the bench where hail actually chipped away at it. So there were some fairly large pieces falling in there.
Hey, James, I know we're testing it and all that. I haven't seen the Facebook Live yet. Did you?
Yeah, I know. I'm working on it.
Okay, cool. While James is working on that, I want to screen share this off my Twitter page. Hold on one second. Let me find it. Look at this. Take a look. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
That is in Greer, South Carolina. It looks like it snowed there.
Pretty much. Pop it up on the screen. There we go.
Oh, I already started there. As you guys can see, I mean, it looks like it snowed there in the upstate of South Carolina. I mean, it's crazy.
I bet it got pretty cold, too.
Yep.
I imagine so. This is actually from our area. I don't know if you guys can continue seeing that. That's quarter size. Wow. Yeah, quarter size hail in Lincoln County, just outside of the Lake Norman area. Let me going down. Oh, yeah. By the way, everybody's dealing with thunderstorms, and I still have wildfires in my area, so. There was the smoky sunset here in the Morganton area tonight. Let's see. Here's some more hail. Look at this. This is from the upstate. I mean, look at that.
That's bigger than quarter. I mean, that's really large for this area, this area. I mean, wow.
I think that's got to be almost a golf ball size right there.
Oh yeah.
I'd say that's about as big as you can get in the South. Any bigger than that would be, I don't know. I don't know what the biggest size is for upstate South Carolina or even for the Midlands, but man, that's huge.
Here's one that had a measuring device there, 1.7 inches in diameter.
That's impressive.
Wow.
For the Southeast, that is incredibly impressive.
I wonder if that's some sort of record there. That's got to be.
Yeah, and there's one more that I was able to find. So that's in the Taylor's area, Taylor's, South Carolina. So crazy stuff. I mean, you normally don't see hail maybe in the Carolinas until late April, early May. So 'tis the season.
Pretty much.
Scotty, I do think we have Facebook Live working right now. So whether you're watching us this evening on YouTube or on Facebook Live, hello to you and welcome into this special Tuesday night edition of the Carolina Weather Group as we are tracking these storms. Scotty, you did a write-up for us earlier today on CarolinaWeatherGroup.com talking about the storm setup for tonight. I was wondering if you could give us a little debrief on what you talked about earlier today on our blog.
Yeah, definitely. So today, as you can tell, the atmosphere kind of juicy out there, especially where I live. I know maybe for James as well, as he was in the Carolinas. You just kind of feel that humidity in the air. And we had something called a cap. And the cap, basically, in the article that I explained, it's kind of like a bottle cap on a soda. If you shake that soda up, as long as that bottle cap's on there, all the contents stay in the bottle. But if you release that cap, if that cap's off and you shake that soda up, that soda goes everywhere. So what happened today, and I think I didn't get to see the sound in for myself. I was going off of Jeff Crum. He's a meteorologist in Charlotte for Time Warner Cable. He said the magic temperature per se was 84 degrees. Once the surface observation reached 84 degrees, that should be able to kind of lift that parcel of air above the cap and really start to grow the clouds and the cumulonimbus and get your thunderstorms. So it seemed like along and south of Interstate 40 in North Carolina, all the way into the upstate of South Carolina and Georgia. So that cap kind of busted. We got to see these thunderstorms, really steep lapse rates, which is your difference in temperature as you go up to the atmosphere. So a little bit colder up there, and so those hailstones got to grow larger and larger until that updraft couldn't support them anymore, and that's why we've got all this hail that has fallen throughout the area. I haven't seen many damage and wind reports. I don't know if you guys have, but that was kind of the setup today with the steep lapse rates. Hail was the primary threat, and once that cap busted, you seen about, I think it was about 5:30 when the storm started forming in the upstate of South Carolina, and it's continued like that for the past couple of hours. And I think Shay had pulled up that radar earlier, maybe before we went live, and was kind of talking about the mesolow, Shay, that's moving into up northern Georgia.
Yep. So it started out as a short wave. In fact, let me go ahead and pull that back up on the screen again. Let me see if I can grab it. And let me know when you get a full screen out of it.
We got you.
Okay. Yep. So yeah, this started out as a fairly enhanced short wave lee side. Windward side of the Appalachians, which would be the western side. And the system is just now, it's moving over the Appalachians and sliding downstate, down slope, and it's getting some spin to it. So we would really call this more of a mesolow in the making right now. It's going to be more of a surface low feature, but it's going to carry these storms all the way down towards the coastline. And are you still seeing it, or is it still?
Yeah, we still got you.
Okay, good. And you can see the storms here that are associated with it. I do suspect that the inflow from the ocean with the southerly wind, southwest or southwest wind ongoing, which was pretty strong today, around 17 to 18 knots along the immediate coast. This inflow of sea breeze air that turns to more of a nocturnal jet at nighttime is coming off a very cool water at 58 degrees. So that's a stabilizer for these storms. And so I'm expecting a lot of these to sort of fizzle out as they approach the coastline. I think we'll definitely see some rain that'll help out with the pollen issues that we have around here. But I think these storms, we may still see a rumbler or two. Don't be surprised if we do. They may make it overhead along the inversion that forms along the coastline. So there may be a connection there. But I think for the most part, we may not be seeing any of this really severe weather. Maybe some strong winds, possible small hail inland. But I think the immediate coastline and the coastal counties will probably be okay with just some heavy rain at times, maybe a bolt of lightning or two.
We definitely are seeing some pretty intense storms out there tonight. Again, if you were joining us on this special Tuesday night edition of Carolina Weather Group, thanks so much for joining us. We are on YouTube, as we always are, but also you may have found us tonight on Facebook Live. So we are testing that out. We welcome your feedback and your comments as we are trying out that new technology. Just a few minutes ago, we were talking about the severe thunderstorms that are rolling through the Charlotte area, and I believe it was Scotty who asked if we had seen any hail in the Charlotte area. So I've rolled back the radar to about 8:10, just past the 8 o'clock hour, and I've checked some storm reports that are already coming in. You can see we've got a couple storms in particular. One just there approaching Harrisburg, one to the north of Charlotte, almost over Interstate 77 in the Lake Norman area. And we're getting some initial storm reports in from storm spotters and such that we saw some hail reach the ground anywhere from 1.5 inches to just over 2 inches in diameter. And that seems fairly realistic with what we're seeing on this replay of radar, and also what we've been seeing elsewhere across the region, that a lot of these storms are in fact supporting enough lift in the atmosphere to really generate hail of that size. And going back to that conversation about lift, it's exactly what Scotty was talking about earlier when he was talking about shaking of that soda bottle. And Scotty, when you were using that analogy earlier today on the web, I just kept thinking about the Diet Coke bottles and the mints that you put in them.
Yeah, Mentos.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about in the setup today.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, it's a good. I use it in school presentations, to kind of show you how the cap pops off, and you twist the bottle, you put so much pressure in it, and then the cap blows off, and that's how you get your storms. So, but yeah, I mean, and that's what happens around here, especially in the springtime, summertime. Shay was talking about that inversion, that kind of capped off atmosphere, and once you get that parcel of air above it, it's game on for storms.
Right. And you can get some of that. You can get some helicity out of those as well. We sometimes will see water spouts, but usually when the water is much warmer than it is now. Water temperature is 58 degrees, so we're not expecting anything like that, not even at Lake Moultrie. But I did have a question from someone I know, Chad Carson. He lives in Indian Land, South Carolina, and I'll go ahead and zoom into his area as long as you guys can see the screen.
Yeah, we got you, Shay. Go ahead.
Yep, he's just north of Rock Hill, Chad. And he's just south, I'd say southwest of Charlotte near Clover. I think Indian Hill is somewhere. I'm trying to zoom in. I don't think it's gonna make it on the map here on the GRE.
Say one more time.
Indian Land, South Carolina.
Okay, so if you go just south of Charlotte.
Yeah,
right up above Rock Hill.
Right. I know it's somewhere in this vicinity right here, but most of those initial storms were moving just north of you, Chad. We got some storm activity to the west, heading to the east, so this is something to watch. Your area is definitely, an area to be concerned about. I think you may see a little bit of strong winds, possible hail. You got all this moving in from the west as well. So I think most of the upstate and the Midlands are going to be seeing some of this, and as we get closer to the coastline, we see the storms kind of fizzle off. So we're going to be on guard for that all night. If you have a garage, I'd put your cars under it, and or inside of them, or under any kind of overhead area that would protect your car from any hail, because these storms are hail makers.
Your friend Chad and I must be neighbors. I'll pop my radar scope up. You can see my townhouse, and Red Ventures, if I'm not mistaken, is just across the border in Indian Land. So there's a kind of a general idea of where we're talking. Actually, right in between those storms, Chad and I are right now, Jay.
Very good. Hope that helps. I know there's a couple of other people that live out that way that are probably watching this right now. So,
Guys, I don't know if you can see my radar. I've got it popped up here. This is something that's developed over the last 5-10 minutes or so, starting to get some thunderstorms to develop just south of Asheville. And as that next impulse of storms comes into the upstate of South Carolina and northeast Georgia, we're going to watch the Asheville, McDowell, Henderson County, Rutherford County, Polk County area to see if these storms kind of backbuild. That's what's happened with that initial phase right here. We had the storms in the upstate, and eventually it built into Cleveland, Gaston, Lincoln. I even had a report, I think, out of Iredell County of some hail. So we're going to watch this area right here, and you can see that lightning is really starting to fire off in the Buncombe County, Henderson County area. So anytime we start to see that lightning really intensify, that shows us that storm is strengthening. So that's something we're going to have to watch, especially just south of Asheville along Interstate 26 between Asheville and Greenville, South Carolina.
And good information there, Scotty. And what I want to pop up on the screen back now, just coming back into the Charlotte area again, and then hopefully maybe we can give David Reese a moment to talk a little bit about what he's seeing in some of his old general stopping grounds of the state of Georgia. But we are beginning to get now some storm reports in, again, from the Greenville-Spartanburg area, the Charlotte metro in that upstate of South Carolina. Robbinsville and Graham County, North Carolina, reports of trees down, numerous trees down there across Graham County, and also ham radio skywarn spotters in the Charlotte area, Cabarrus County, near the Harrisburg line. We actually have trees reportedly blocking a lane or two there on North Carolina 49. So we do have some very windy conditions with these storms, and that, in fact, it brings us to our two big things for today. It's not really tornadoes that we're concerned about with these systems. It's the wind and the hail, like we've been talking about. So I think as the team has been mentioning so far, we're already beginning to see that. And really, we're still kind of early in this. You know, it's not going to be, I think, at the end of the day, a huge severe weather outbreak. But of course, it's the second day of spring, as Scotty mentioned in his blog post today. So it is kind of kicking off of that spring season. And we will probably have some lasting damage during the overnight hours, especially if you live in an area where you get some of this large hail or these damaging winds. And let's talk a little bit about that. I'm going to pop radar scope back up, and I want to focus on two metro areas right now. We're going to start with Columbia and then head on over to Atlanta, because we can look on the right side of the screen here where we can see the velocities. These are the radar estimated winds. Again, they're a little bit higher up in the atmosphere than at the surface, but you can already begin to see that some of those severe thunderstorms that are rolling into the western Columbia area do seem to have some pretty intense lightning with it. This is from the Greenville-Spartanburg perspective. Let's switch this over now to the radar perspective from the Columbia radar site, because if we get a little bit closer to these storms with the radar, we can get a little bit closer to the surface and probably get a little bit more accurate of a reading. But radar estimated winds, again, up in the atmosphere right now, some pretty strong winds going to be coming into the Columbia area. David Reese, is that exactly kind of the concerns right now in the Atlanta metro as well?
Yeah, I'm seeing mainly wind reports in the Atlanta metro. I haven't seen too many significant hail reports. I think most of that was across northern Georgia, where the freezing level was a little bit lower than the 11,500 feet that they reported at Peachtree City with their 0Z sounding. I looked at it a little bit ago, and it was just over 11,000 feet that they had that freezing level and a little bit of a cap at 700 and also just above 500. So that could have delayed Atlanta's severe weather a little bit. But let's go ahead and take a quick look at CAE, Columbia, because I know from what you're showing me, that looks like a significant wind event that is heading for them. And
yeah, so a lot of outflow boundaries, lots of outflow boundaries popping left and right all over the place up that way. So there's going to be some bursts.
Yep. I mean, when those outflow boundaries run into those other thunderstorms, you get the warm, buoyant air, and then you get the outflow, which is basically acting like a mini cold front. That's the way I like to kind of talk about it. It's like a mini cold front, and then you basically cold air denser than warm air. So the cold air rushes to the ground, spreads out, and that just forces the warm air aloft, and that'll help kickstart some of the other thunderstorms out ahead of it. And that's kind of what you're seeing there at Atlanta. Now, if we can get James's screen shared there, that's one outflow boundary. Fortunately, it doesn't seem like it's firing off too many storms to the south and west of the Atlanta metro area. Most of the activity is heading off to the south and east of Atlanta. It'll be interesting to see if Macon gets in on the action. I don't think Macon will. I think most of this is going to head along Interstate 20 and eventually down towards the Augusta area, which is bearing down right now, also towards Columbia. And again, I'm seeing a lot more wind reports on the southern half of it, seeing a lot more hail reports on the northern side up near the Charlotte and Asheville area. So that'll be my biggest concern now is wind. It's this turning into a bigger wind events as it heads into central South Carolina and the eastern half of Georgia.
Once that mesolo starts spinning, we'll see the southern side of this really flare up. And also one thing to consider is the Midlands and the sand hills and some of the clays and loams and areas that retain heat. Today was a pretty hot day.
It was for you guys.
For the first day of spring, we got to 90 degrees just inland today. That was, I can't remember if that was a record or not, but I mean, you figure upper 80s spread all the way into the Midlands, and so you have a lot of heat release. And when these outflow boundaries collide, they'll cause more thunderstorms to pop along them. They're kind of like fireworks. But I suspected that southern side and all the way around to the western side, as this mesolo starts to spin up across the state and head towards the ocean, that we'll get some fairly significant activity through the Midlands mainly.
And we can see some of those outflow boundaries that David and Shay were speaking of. I'll circle them there, and you can kind of see them just as a ripple actually starts way back up by Newberry and then makes its way down towards Columbia in this loop. And as David mentioned, you can start to see the action firing up and bubbling right back behind it. I can also confirm exactly what they were talking about looking at storm reports back across the Atlanta area. An 80-foot pine tree is reportedly down in Barrow County. So, we're talking about some pretty significant winds that are going to be taking down some otherwise fairly sturdy objects, whether that be your backyard patio furniture or maybe a tree or two. And we also will watch for some of these embedded thunderstorms to contain. And I was trying to click on what I assume is a flash flood warning. Flood warning of some sort there, just outside the Athens area, because certainly lots of rain embedded.
Yeah, James, do you have a power outage report for us?
You want me to read off?
I'm kidding. I hope everybody's okay and has power, though.
I hope so, too. If not, you could be streaming us on Facebook Live, right? That's what we're here for. Shay likes to roast me a little on the fact that last time we did one of these, I went county by county and read off a lot of storm reports. But you know what, Shay? They do tell us a lot, right, about what's happening on the ground and a little bit of verification.
I know what I learned. I learned every county in North Carolina from west to east in almost alphabetical order, the way that you described it.
Scotty, you had a picture up for a while, and we were blabbering, and I'm wondering what that picture was.
Well, first picture, you're talking about power outages. This is from one of our guests who's been on the show a couple of times, Jamie Mitchum. He's in northern Georgia, and watch this as power goes out. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Well, I think it goes out. There it goes. So there's power outages in northern Georgia. And
the feed literally just cuts off.
And then we'll go down here. This was in Kannapolis. This is northeast of Charlotte. This is some hailstones that this gentleman, Lyle.
Also, this is up just northeast of Charlotte. Then, so wow, these hailstorms are spreading all the way across the Midlands.
And then something interesting. I don't know if I should do this, but I'm going to show you a quick glance at chat. Our buddy Brad Panovich talking about looks like a wake low wind event developing on the backside of the mesolow, western North Carolina and northwest Georgia. And that tells me that we could see some high winds in that area, but I'm going to hand that over to the wind expert himself. And Shay, tell us what a wake low is.
Wake low pressure. That's it's not a very common thing we see in the southeast. You see that more up around the Great Lakes area as those large upper lows move through the area. So what a wake low is, you have an initial cold front that usually can be associated with a cold front or a mesolow in the southeast region. They sweep through, and you get a tail end of that acts as a cold front and sweeps through. Now, immediately behind this cold front or this wake low band is high pressure that fills in behind it. So you get a clearing of skies, and then you get almost another cold front that develops right behind it. It's another area of low pressure. It could be nearby or it could be distant, but it keeps the winds usually from a southwest direction in this area. And good Lord, that is a huge hailstone in that picture there.
Yeah, I just was going through Twitter.
Wow, 3 inch.
This is
so
go ahead, Shay.
No, so the wake low, yes, it does increase the winds ahead of the next sort of front or the band that comes in behind it. And we could be seeing a secondary line of storms develop behind that. So, or behind this initial mesolow. So we'll have to, Brad could be right about that. I need to go onto our wind alert and data scope viewer and see what's going on with the winds, because I think I see another area of energy developing across, let's say, maybe northern Arkansas. There's another band up there. I'll go take a look at that and put it up on the screen here in just a minute.
All right, well, we'll let Shay do that. Shay asked, and Shay shall receive. Here we go, everybody. Buckle up, get the popcorn ready. It's time for the Duke Energy Power Map, brought to you by Shay Gibson, Wind Alert Expert. All right, so I won't go through all of these, and I especially won't go through in them alphabetical order, but we do have a number of power outages. We talked a little bit about the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area, less than 1,000 customers affected, so that's essentially households or business establishments. We do have some back up into the mountains in western North Carolina, about 2,000 there, and I bet you if I come out of the county view and zoom on in, and yes, Scotty, I was going to ask you for some analysis. This is a little bit closer to your neck of the woods, not quite your neck of the woods, but you're the closest we've got. So do you know what we're looking at here?
I believe that was the severe thunderstorm warning in Graham County. I think that's Graham County that you're looking at. They had a report of numerous trees down across the county. I'm not sure if that is Graham County where that's Jackson, Graham. So yeah, you're right in that area. So that was probably from the severe thunderstorm warning that just was issued a little while ago. So the report came out that there was numerous trees down around the county, so the power outages kind of lines up with that.
Oh, Jackson literally just climbing to 3,000 affected customers. This is just Duke Energy, folks. So if there are other power companies in the area, we're not surveying all of them, but we are taking the conglomerate here to get a pretty good sample size. Greenville doing pretty good. Only 141 customers affected at this hour, and that's an area along with Spartanburg that kind of got slammed earlier with the first reports of power outages coming in at about 7 o'clock. So they're doing a pretty good job there of keeping the lights on, regardless of all that hail that we've been seeing come across the area. I want to take a moment to kind of just zoom out for everybody, and I want to do a screen share of the Carolina Weather Group radar from carolinaweathergroup.com and just kind of help you reset here at 9:36 on this Tuesday. I'll let you know exactly what it is we are looking at. So North and South Carolina radar right here. We do have a few severe thunderstorm warnings just outside of the Charlotte area still, and based on what we've been talking about so far, a reminder, of course, that a severe thunderstorm warning means 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds or quarter-size hail, right, guys? Or is it three-quarter size?
No, quarter size.
Quarter size. I was right the first time. Always go with your gut.
The size of a quarter. It's 1 inch in diameter. Did I just confuse you?
We confuse each other. Either way,
sorry.
That's what we're worried about, and that's what we are monitoring for, and that's exactly why we do have these severe thunderstorm warnings out right now. And so that is exactly what we are watching for. Yes, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, quarter-size hail. So you can see those just to the north and east there of the Charlotte area, and even some coming back across the upstate into central parts of South Carolina. So I think we should check in there because that is just inching closer and closer to Columbia. Let's switch sources. I think Shay's got something up on the screen he wants to show us here. I think he's maybe zooming in exactly into that South Carolina region.
Yep, just looking over some of the winds in the area. I'm going to switch to miles per hour here. I'm looking for a wake low, and what I'm kind of looking for when I see this map is you see the winds here are basically north-northwest cutting down through Atlanta, Georgia. And this is the area I'm going to focus on because this is where the winds will shift. And you can see behind all of this storm activity that the winds are holding up 23 miles per hour. That was the last reading. With a wake low, we would start to see the winds shift to the west and sort of back a little bit more southwest and start to sweep up behind. So So that's what we'll be looking for here in a little while as the system progresses towards the east. You can see some of the wind readings here up to 41 miles an hour at Atlanta and International. Actually got up to, let's see what the high wind gust was, 55 miles per hour. And that was about, what would that be, 14 minutes ago?
Sounds about
right.
right.
That was the latest reading. Yeah, 55 miles per hour winds there.
Hartsfield Jackson, you're saying?
Yes. I can zoom in and try to get to Atlanta Fulton County Airport. And it looks like we had a gust there of 46 miles per hour at 8:57 p.m. So we expect these winds to really come blasting in, mainly from the northwest as the storms progress. And if we go to the coastline, I don't know if this is laggy or not, but you see these southerly winds. These were really nice, built on a really nice sea breeze today. We have this down here at Tybee Island. We're only at 10 knots gusting, or 10 miles per hour gusting to 18 miles per hour. I keep forgetting I'm always at knots. If we zoom into the Charleston area, we can see the nocturnal jet has really turned on. It's holding up along the beaches. We switched from sea breeze to nocturnal jet this time of night. And this is the graph from today. You can see the sea breeze really came up and up into the mid-20s, and then it comes back down, of course. And then in the harbor, just inside the coastal break is where the winds are holding up. In fact, they're actually building just a little bit now along that nocturnal jet. But you can see the direction here, southwest, and that's coming, wind is coming off the ocean. So the sea surface temperatures are cool at 58 degrees. This is what I was talking about earlier, why the storms tend to fizzle out along the coastline. And let me go to sea surface temperatures here. See our cool shelf waters. And this is one of the reasons why we just don't get the storms, because you see the southerly straight south flow up from Georgia up into southeastern South Carolina. And then the winds start to bend once they get north of Charleston. That way, a lot of times just at Georgetown, which would be right here, and northward up into the Grand Strand or Myrtle Beach, tend to see these storms more so because these winds tend to fade out a little bit more west-southwest at nighttime. But it looks like Myrtle Beach has a south flow too there, so that could be significant for their area as well. We'll just have to see what happens here in a little while. I think we're going to be okay along the coastline, but right now everything is really starting to head down towards the Midlands, towards Columbia, towards Atlanta. So we'll see here.
Yeah. And
by the way, I was going to say,
ahead,
by
David.
the way, Shay, that 55-mile-per-hour wind gust, I was looking at the radar here. That was caused by the outflow from those thunderstorms on the western side of Atlanta. So that wasn't actual, like, associated with the thunderstorms. It was dead calm, and then it gusted to 55 without any rain.
Wow. Yeah, that is also a major thing.
That was the gust front.
Yeah. So if you're out there, folks, and you don't even have to see the storms or hear them coming for that wind to pick up. It'll just happen out of nowhere, and then the storms will come after that. So don't be surprised if you see that tonight.
I was going to say, you've probably experienced it if you're watching at home tonight and didn't even realize. Out on the soccer field or at the T-ball game, and all of a sudden that wind picks up, and you're like, the weather is turning. And it could, be one of several things that you may be experiencing. I was going to echo exactly what David talked about, and we can very quickly pop up the Peachtree City radar again to kind of show you exactly where things are, and you can see that outflow boundary right about here. Go ahead, David.
I tweeted out a video on Twitter that the outflow boundary going through a baseball field, and they had to cancel the game. So if you want to use that to illustrate too what you're talking about, since I can't screen share.
Oh, that would be great. I will get to that in 1 second here. I'm going to bounce through a couple windows that I have up, and then we will get to that. So here's that outflow boundary that David talked about. The Atlanta airport is going to be, right about there. So you can see the thunderstorms are there about now. And speaking of the airport, I always like going to this. And if you've watched TV news, you've probably seen it before. It is the flight-aware misery map. And we can already see that we're beginning to get some cancellations and delays in both the Atlanta and the Charlotte area because of the storms rolling on through. So I'm sure that if they don't already, they will probably have some ground stops there, if for nothing else but lightning. And just to top off Shay's last analysis, he talked about how these storms will pretty much die down by the time they get to the shore. And here is the latest outlook, severe weather outlook for the remainder of tonight through the early overnight for the Storm Prediction Center in Norman. And you can see a lot of what we've been talking about so far is outlined in that yellow. That is the slight risk area. That's essentially a 2 out of 5 for the threat of severe weather, which tonight is wind and hail. And then taking a step down from there, 1 out of 5 marginal has been redefined a little bit. It's got a little bit of missing notch. A lot of Tennessee has already seen their action tonight, so they've removed a lot of that state. But you can see other parts of the Carolinas are in that. I'm going to go ahead and pull up David's video.
It looks like they pushed that marginal line all the way to the coast. It wasn't there before, so yeah, they may be making that connection with that inversion to keep that thunderstorm possibility or potential all the way to the coastline.
Yeah, they moved that slight box as well, too. It wasn't as far south and east earlier today when Scotty was doing his write-up.
Yeah, I've got another picture of ice falling out of the sky. You want to see it? Look at this.
Please.
Look at this video.
It's like golf balls.
Amazing. Here's another one. This is just north of Charlotte in the Kannapolis area. Wind and smaller hill falling, but it's crazy stuff. Also, here's something interesting. I'm going to pull it up right quick. This is a special weather statement from the National Weather Service in Greenville-Spartanburg, talking about the outflow boundaries that you guys were. Thunderstorm outflows will bring very gusty winds to central and southern mountains of western North Carolina, as well as the northern upstate of South Carolina through 10:45. So the Weather Service also latching on to the possibility of those outflow boundaries presenting some gusty winds. 40 miles per hour won't really necessarily knock trees down, but if you have any loose lawn furniture or anything like that, you might want to watch that as well as that comes in. Just looking up, Brad Panovich has broke into coverage right now, covering these storms. So busy night here in the Carolinas. I like this kind of stuff, though. It kind of gets you in the feel for what may be coming up for the next few months.
Absolutely. Welcome to spring. David Reese, here is that video you talked about of a baseball game being called of wind. Any additional information you have on this?
No, that's when the gust front went through. If you play it through the beginning, there it is. I mean, as you can see, it's not raining. I mean, you're not seeing rain. It wasn't called before due to lightning, and they do call those because of lightning. I played softball back in Georgia, and they call those due to lightning more often than I care to remember. But that was all outflow winds, and you can just see it just immediately picked up, and they immediately called the game. So that's the kind of wind that created that 55-mile-per-hour wind gusts at Hartsfield, and which is down in Georgia, and also what we can expect as we get into middle Georgia there, from basically Peachtree City down towards Macon, if those storms are able to hold together. In Milledgeville, also seeing a really strong line of storms passing between Atlanta and Augusta on Interstate 20 right now. It's
I think we just got a
concern
new warning
tonight across Georgia.
Yeah, I think
yes, they got a massive new warning there. I think Peachtree City was just like, all right, let's just issue this whole entire thing for a while.
Yeah, so we can actually probably measure that real fast just to find out the exact distance. This one alone is roughly 50 miles across, but then, it's still 60 miles tall. And we have another pretty large size warning in the Columbia area as well. And I was just reading some analysis from the National Weather Service in Columbia. They are watching their area closely. They're watching that Augusta area closely, pretty much everything along that Interstate 20 corridor that David was just talking about. And they're telling us that more warnings could be coming as necessary. But right now, it's a pretty good size warning as it is. I want to ask, I'm going to put Shay on the spot.
Yeah, that southern side and the eastern side, those are going to be the spots to watch there. And this gust fronts, I know we keep talking about those, but that's a prime example in that game of a gust front arriving or an outflow boundary arriving well ahead of storms. I mean, those things can travel. I've watched them. I've watched the sea breeze line here on the coastline sort of head inland for up to 60, 70 miles. But with strong, severe storms like this, they are known to travel up to 200 and 300 miles away from their storms, well ahead of them.
Do you think we could get a warning maybe to fill in the gap here between Augusta and Columbia, depending on how this storm progresses over the next little bit?
Absolutely. I think Sparta just got it, so I'm pretty sure it's going to follow right in motion with Augusta and swing right on through Orangeburg and maybe even as far down as the Walterboro, South Carolina.
Fantastic. Coming up about 10 minutes to 10 Eastern time here with us live on this Tuesday, special edition of the Carolina Weather Group. We are on YouTube. We are testing out Facebook Live, so we are looking for your feedback. Please let us know how we look, we sound as we're coming through to Facebook. Please be nice. I know I have a big forehead. There's nothing Facebook can do about that for me. Scotty Powell had some media up on Twitter. Give him a second to pull that up. Let us know what we're looking at and let everyone know that I guess, unless these guys tell me otherwise, maybe we'll wrap in about 10 minutes or so because we could do a nice service then of handing off our viewers to their local 10 o'clock newscast to continue tracking this, including Mr. David Reese himself, who will turn around and go talk to a different camera.
I was going to say, I'm going to head out just to get ready for that. So you guys take it easy. Be safe, everybody.
Thanks, David.
Fantastic. Thank you, David. So we'll fill until the broadcasters are back on, although it sounds like Brad Penovich, WCNC in Charlotte, is of course standing by and is cut into his programming at least once ahead of his 11 o'clock. But without further ado, Scotty, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so this from one of our guests who's been on the show, Kelly Dubeck, who is in the Augusta area, showing, look at this, hail size, 2.3 inches in diameter hail falling just outside of, that's Crawfordville, Georgia, Washington, Georgia, just outside of Athens, Georgia. So, yeah, you were talking about that severe thunderstorm warning maybe filling in. If we see hail like that moving to the area, we'll definitely see a warning. So, Kelly giving us the update out of her area.
And I know that area fairly well, having gone to school in Athens and having had a friend who lived in Thompson. You take the name of the road is escaping me right now, but I wanted to add the color commentary to your analysis that it's very dark out there and it's very rural, like a lot of the areas we were probably talking about tonight. So if you were driving along that road, you could very easily get inundated by heavy rain and any sort of hail that would be coming down in the darkness as you make it through a lot of those areas out there. A lot of towns, like we have in Carolinas and that part of Georgia with, it's a one stoplight type of community. So probably would take much to really lose that visibility there.
2 to 3 inch size hail. I wanted to ask a question real quick. Now that is extremely large for the Southeast. Scotty, why do you think we're getting hail that size upstate?
I just think, I think as we looked at the analysis, the air is just so much colder than what we may have thought to begin with, because I think as we started the day out, the hail threat wasn't that elevated for the upstate. I'll have to go back and look at the SPC breakdowns of that, but I just think the air is a little bit cooler with the steep lapse rates. This is actually a cold front. I mean, if you look at the temperatures, I know for Western North Carolina, I just did the forecast for our area. We're talking about upper 40s as highs on Thursday. So, that's just showing you that it's going to be colder. So that cold air, maybe just those hailstones being suspended up just enough in that cold air that it's allowing them to kind of grow a little bit larger than what we first thought.
Right. Yeah. Excellent blog today, by the way. If you want to go to www.carolinaweathergroup.com, Scotty has a nice blog that he posted today with some explanation on the severe weather threat and why it's coming together. So,
yeah. And really kind of plug our show coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to have Tricia Palmer on from the National Weather Service in Greenville-Spartanburg. And hold on, we got one more guest coming on. I just don't have my list with me right now. I know her first name. Just stretch.
Just stretch for you?
There we go.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I got it now. So Tricia Palmer is coming on, as well as Sandy LaCourte. She is with the National Weather Service in Wilmington. They're going to kind of come on and talk to us about the severe weather, the severe weather that does affect us here in the Carolinas. So this will definitely be a good time to ask those questions, to our guests in a couple of weeks. So looking forward to that. As April, we prepare to go into Severe Weather Awareness Month. We're looking forward to having our guests there. And I know we're talking about severe weather tonight, but Shay and James, we heard a little bit of breaking news this afternoon. Changes at the National Hurricane Center. Dr. Rick Knabb leaving his post there to go back to the Weather Channel. You guys have any thoughts on that?
I tell you, I've been unplugged. I was out kiteboarding today, so I haven't been tuned in to what's been going on. I thought you were going to bring up the fact that James can call watches and mornings without a system forming yet, but that's a whole different topic. wow, that's news to me, and you're giving me something to go look up tonight. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, he will be returning home to the Weather Channel just in time for hurricane season. So whether it's in the public or private sector, we'll still get to see him on television. Looking forward to his analysis, whether he's sitting at the desk in Miami or sitting at a desk, I presume. Is he moving back to Atlanta? I would probably. So
Yeah.
hopefully it's a good move for him. Hopefully it's something he wanted and not something that was caused by other concerns or forces.
Definitely wish him the best of luck.
As cool as I'm going to get, Scotty.
I know the weather community is pretty happy about that because he is a good communicator. You know, he really did well during Matthew and Hermine. So always looking for good communicators to have a nice outreach to folks. And I think the Weather Channel provides that. So I know you had power outages pulled up, so let's go to those. We'll get off of the hurricane subject.
It's 9:54, and it's time for Power Outages on the 4s, brought to you by Shay Gibson of Wind Alert.
I see my county.
Yada.
I see that my county now has some power outages.
Yeah, here you are. One.
Oh, okay. It's not my house. I have power.
That's good. Thank you for
Someone got to pay their bill up there. That's what happened.
Here's what I wanted to show. We are still mainly, for the most part, doing okay in the Carolinas. To self-appoint myself as a power outage expert here, doing some analysis on our graph here. We do have several hundred customers, Duke Energy customers in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area that are out. We are beginning to see a few more in South Carolina. We still are working to get the lights back on in parts of western North Carolina, where some of the storms came through earlier. But this is what I want to show everybody. We jump on down to Georgia. We have more than 160,000 Georgia Power customers without power. And as we've been telling you during the last hour or so, the Atlanta metro area right here did get a pretty good whopping not too long ago in Fulton County, which makes up a good part of western Atlanta. Nearly 200 outages, 30,000 customers affected there. If we take a look at DeKalb County and the east side of town, 265 outages affecting 70,000 customers. So all in all, 164,748 Georgia Power customers are without power right now. And I would expect to see this number to climb, especially since Georgia Power does still service folks as you make your way down towards the Augusta region. Right now, does this not give me...
Wow, I tell you, that had to have been some really, really high wind events. And I'm going to go ahead and hop off, James, here. But I know we were wanting to get off the air before our local TV stations. If you're in the Charleston area, check out Rob Fowler with Storm Team 2, Dave Williams with Channel 4 and with Fox WTAT, and also Bill Walsh with Channel 5. Those are your three Mets tonight. I'm pretty sure Bill Walsh is on tonight, but those are the three for the Charleston area. Tune into them, and also always tune into the National Weather Service for your local warnings and advisories.
Absolutely. Good information there, Shay. We'll be wrapping up in the next few minutes. Thank you for joining us, Shay. As you hop off, we're still looking for feedback. If you're watching us tonight on YouTube or Facebook Live, do let us know how we look and sound, because we want to continue to use Facebook Live as a way to reach you, not only for special programming just like this, but also for our upcoming shows. And just like we would on any given Carolina Weather Group point, we like to end things with Scotty, who's going to tell you all about our upcoming guests. And I don't know if he knows I was going to toss to him. So if he needs a moment to pull up our list of upcoming guests, including tomorrow night's show,
scrambling fast,
I will go ahead and remind you that you can, of course, follow us on Facebook, on YouTube. We have iTunes and Google Play podcasts. We have a website that you can subscribe to email notifications from. So essentially, whatever it is that you're looking for, please do follow or subscribe to be notified exactly when we have some new live and entertaining and informative programming for you. And with that, Scotty.
Hey, look, you have
our list up.
Yeah, we have a message we need to check too, so we'll get to that tomorrow night.
We try to be very responsive.
We do. Tomorrow night, sea level rise with coastal hazard expert Doug Marcy. He'll be joining us to talk about an important topic, sea level rise and the concerns that may create as we go throughout the next few years. I actually got a nice tweet this afternoon from Michael Lowry. He used to be the Hurricane hurricane expert on the Weather Channel. So Michael going to be tuning in tomorrow night. So we look forward to having Doug on, and a very good show coming up. And then after that, we're going to round out the National Weather Podcast Month with the Stormfront Freaks, a fellow weather podcast that will be joining us. So that'll be a fun show. No set topic. Just going to shoot the breeze with those guys over there. And then we start to go into April with Severe Weather Awareness Month. Understanding the severe weather threats. We talked about that just a little bit ago. Virginia storm chasing with veteran storm chaser Chris White. And then we round out the end of April with predicting tornadoes with Victor Gensini. Victor has done some research, over the past couple of years, talking about possibly being able to predict these severe weather outbreaks a couple of weeks in advance. So last year he was 10 for 15, so that's pretty good odds right there, pretty good skill. So we're happy to have Victor on joining us at the end of the month.
I have to go find my University of Georgia transcripts because I'm pretty sure Victor taught one of my classes at one point.
Yeah, I think he's a professor at the College of DuPage right now, but I do believe, looking through his info, he was at Georgia.
I have to try to remember exactly which one of our atmospheric science classes it was. So as we come up to the 10 o'clock hour, and we'll hand things off for you to continue watching your local television news, here's a look at our Carolina Weather Group radar from carolinaweathergroup.com. Let you know exactly what it is that we are watching. We do have a break in the action right now in the Charlotte area. Things are still quiet from Raleigh and points eastward. We will watch the action as it rolls through the Columbia Metro and maybe tries to survive as it comes up on Interstate 95 corridor tonight. And just off to the left side of your screen there, the western edge of our radar, you can see a lot of those severe thunderstorm warnings and a flash flood warning or two back across portions of Georgia. So as Shay said, keep those weather radios handy tonight. I've got one in the bedroom that will wake me up if flooding or winds get too bad. Or maybe you've got, and I was going to try to show the mobile one, but it is tethered to my desk. There we go. So keep one of these handy as well, and it will let you know if anything substantial is happening. But if you haven't done so already, go grab that patio furniture and bring it on inside.
Yeah, definitely. New severe thunderstorm warning out for Buncombe County. So if you live in the Asheville area, severe thunderstorm warning just to your south going into Henderson County. So everyone stay safe out there tonight. We want to see you back with the Carolina Weather Group tomorrow night. So stay safe out there. And like James said, go bring that patio furniture in.
I got to go do that myself. Good night, everybody.
See ya.